Hi Pragati, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. So can you tell us something about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Pragati Prakash. I'm basically from Jharkhand, and
Mhm.
I'm working as a QA test engineer in Signity Technologies, which is in Hyderabad. I'm having an experience of 3.5 years of experience, including both manual and automation. I worked in mobile testing. I started my career from the mobile testing, which was a manual, and then I switched to web testing, and there I started working like cross browser and all the kind of testing I have used in there itself. And right now I'm also leading a team. It's like not properly, but I'm a part of that I can lead a team also. So I'm
Mhm.
leading a team and I'm helping them. I'm connecting with every day with the clients. I'm taking the requirements and I'm taking calls with them and clearing with the teams. So yeah, that's all about to me.
Okay, great. That was a good introduction. Okay, now what
Yeah.
is final keyword in Java?
Final keyword is like if you're setting some uh, methods or some functions, so it will be like a finalized and it will be executed.
Mhm.
Final means it's like we are keeping a word which should be executed. So that is like a finalized part.
Right. Now, can this final keyword be associated with a variable or with any other thing as well?
Variable,
Mhm.
final with a variable.
Right.
Uh, no, I do not think so,
Mm-hmm.
because we cannot finalize. I mean, we cannot set the variable as a final.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot. It's like we can as other functions also can call that variable, right? If suppose in inheritance, if I'm using it, it shouldn't call. It won't be calling in the other function, other class.
Okay, but can we have a Java program in which there is a final variable? Can we have like that? A final variable, or can a final keyword be applied to the variables?
As per my guess, is it shouldn't happen.
Okay, so just wanted to correct you over here. Final can be a variable, a method, or a class as well, right? Now let's say if you have applied a final keyword with the variables, so a final variable will not have a value. It is also called as a blank final variable, or it is uninitialized final variable. Okay, it can be initialized in the constructor only. Similarly, they can also ask you the question like, uh, what all things can be associated with the final. So three things are there: variable, method, and class. Okay, so no need to get nervous. This is a mock interview. So whenever you have a real-time interview, so this is for the intention to make sure that you clear that interview. Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. Now, what is method overloading in Java?
When we are passing the same method twice and we are calling those methods, so it's like uh, uh, the same method I'm calling in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that I can keep the name as I wanted to use the same method in the same different class also. So
Mm-hmm.
that is like overloading, method overloading.
Okay, same class in different class as well.
uh, it's like supposing in inheritance, I'm calling class A and I'm keeping one method over there, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
again keeping class B in that. So I wanted to call the same method which is present in the class A. So
Mm-hmm.
that is what a method overloading.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so over here, if a class has multiple methods having same name but different parameters, it is called method overloading.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now what is method overriding?
Method overriding.
Mhm.
Okay. Here, method overriding. Here, the same method will be there, but here different parameters will be there. We'll be passing different kind of parameters here over here. Suppose void A, I'm keeping it, and there I'm passing A, int B, and then I'll be passing it like the in the second void B. Uh, yes, I'm. It's like I'm replacing the values. in the overriding, method overriding.
Right, absolutely. So if a subclass provides the specific implementation method that has been already declared by the this parent class, you can tell. Okay, so it is
Yeah.
known as method overriding. Okay, now can you tell me the Java program of how will you check whether the string is palindrome or not?
String is palindrome or not?
Palindrome or not, right? Have you joined from laptop?
Yeah.
Yeah. So is it possible for you to share your screen and write a Java program? Or if you are okay, then we can move ahead with the logic of the Java program as well. But in a real-time interview, you might be asked a question to write the Java program.
Yeah, I agree. I can share my screen,
Okay,
but
great.
I haven't opened anything. Just a
So
second.
it's fine. In the notepad also you can write, or you can use any ID, Eclipse, IntelliJ, anything is fine.
Yeah, I'll just open that. You have to give me access.
Oh,
I'm not able to share my screen.
yeah. Now, are you able to share?
Uh, Let me check out 1 second. Yeah, I can share
Hmm.
my screen now. Yeah. Can you
Mhm.
see my screen?
Yes, your screen is visible. Take up any string and we have to check whether it's a palindrome or not.
Mm. I'm taking my name.
Mhm.
Actually, I'm not practicing these days Java, so
Mhm.
I, I forgot all the logics, I
Yeah,
think.
no issues at all. You can give a try, then I'll tell you what can be the answer of this question.
I can't because I forgot every logic right now.
Okay, no
Uh,
issues, no issues.
can you help me out in the logic?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Yeah, is my screen visible?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so what we have considered over here, we can take any of the string, as you can take your name, you can take a valid string that is palindrome like 1331 as a string. Okay, and I have created two pointers. Okay, one
Mhm.
is I and one is J. So for every character, it will first of all compare both the characters. So for I, it will start from the beginning of the string. For J, it will start from the end. So I will be incremented every time and J will be decremented every time. Okay, so this is the basically initialization of the, so first of all, we are taking pointers. So that will be pointing to the beginning and the end of the string. So let's say if the string is, for example, you take this example of 1331. So we'll take first this as the number and we'll compare with this one. Then we'll come, so we'll increment from this and J will decrement from here. And then we will compare both these, I and J. So that's why we are incrementing this pointer and we are decrementing this pointer.
Mhm.
Okay, and we'll compare this comparison. So if there is a mismatch, it will return false. Okay, this is how
Oh,
So there are multiple ways to achieve this thing in a Java program, but for now you can explain in this manner for interview. Okay, but because this is the most common thing that is the, is the answered by most of the people over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And right, is it clear?
Yeah.
Uh, okay. Okay, so this was the program. It might take 2 to 5 minutes for you to explain, but if they ask you the logic, so you can simply tell them in a summary. So you'll be taking 2 pointers. I will point to the start of the string and J will point at the end of the string. We'll keep incrementing I and keep decrementing J, and until and when I is less than J, for that particular step, you will be checking the characters at these pointers are same or not. If not, the string is not going to be the palindrome, because the like 1331 it will be same, but for another string like your name it might not be same. So that's how you're gonna know that it's not a palindrome. Okay.
Right. Because name can not be like the same, character will be same from the front and the end, right?
Right. So what you can do is you can take up two scenarios. You can tell first, let us go with the positive one. Let us take one example of a proper valid string, which is a palindrome. Then you can go for invalid and show them that the code is running for invalid as well. Okay.
Right. Hmm.
Okay. Now, what is the difference between absolute XPath and relative XPath?
Okay. So
Mhm.
absolute path is it's like when when we have to find the element, we have to search from the root from the root to the top. And
Mhm.
a relative path, it's like whenever we wanted to find the element, we'll go for that only that element path. We'll be taking that child and we'll be clearing out. I mean, we'll be taking out the element path directly, X path, where we wanted to check that. If we in the middle of it is my element is there, I'll be inspecting that path only, and I can create that path. But for the absolute, I have to from the like where it is starting. It's like from the root to top. I have to follow each and every path, like HR tag, BA tag, everything. I have to href, everything I have to follow on that way. So right now in right now in IT industry, I think relative XPath is mostly used because that is
Mostly.
saving our time. Yes, and
Mhm.
that is saving our time also to find the XPath and to find the element directly.
Right. And that is reliable as well. So most of the
Yeah,
people are using relative XPath because it's reliable.
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
now, which are the different exceptions that you have faced so far while doing automation in Selenium, and how do you overcome them?
Okay, so I have found no such element exception when we are not able to find the element, but it is not finding the elements directly. And uh, alert exception is also there,
Mhm.
and a stale element reference exception is also there,
Right.
and
What is tail element reference exception?
a stale element reference exception is like element is located in the DOM, but it is not visible in the web page.
Mhm.
At that time, we get a stale element reference, and it is also when if to avoid this stale element reference exception, we use POM.
Mhm.
So this is all about stale element reference exception,
Mhm.
and but all and. This much of I think I have received.
Mhm. So four
Yes.
exceptions you were telling. One is tail element reference exception. One is
Right.
no such element exception. Then element
Yes.
not visible, right?
Yes.
Then which?
Alert.
Yeah, sorry.
Alert.
Alert
Alert.
exception. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. And these are the exceptions that you have faced so far. Okay,
Yes.
fine. What is the size of your team in your current project?
Actually, we are following like safe agile process. So
Mhm.
it's like so many teams will be there. Agile team will be there. So in one of them, one agile team is mine, where we are four team members,
Okay,
and yes. So we are working in this way.
okay. All are QA members only.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So developers are not a part of the team.
No, developers are there, but that is from the other company. So it's like whenever we wanted to connect, we can contact with through the teams, and we can call them or directly in this way, or we can drop an email like this.
Okay. Now, what are the different methods that you will use for window handling in Selenium?
JavaScript methods.
JavaScript methods are basically used, I think, to do scroll by, or when you have to scroll from one place to another. For window handling,
Sorry, my father is in the background.
that is absolutely fine. We all are working from home, so no issues with that. Yeah.
Uh, Window handling method.
Yeah. So do you want me to give you some hint?
Could you please repeat the questions again?
Right. So what are the different methods used for window handling in Selenium?
Different kind of method.
Let's say whenever a website opens, so there will be one main window. One will be the parent window, one might be the child window. How will you handle it using automation?
Uh, in my it's like in my mind is coming is like action or select,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure about the methods.
Okay.
Yes.
Select basically would be used when you have to select a value from the drop down options. Let's say if there are a banking option and you have got a drop down with various options of Axis Bank, HDFC, and other banks. So you can select all those options one by one by using a select class. This the particular thing select. Action is more about mouse clicks and all those. But again, for window handles, you can use get window handle.
Yeah, get window
Get
handle and
window
get window
handle.
handles.
Yes, yes.
Right, yeah, right.
So,
Understood. Now I remembered. Yeah.
right. If I would have asked you directly what is the difference between get window handle and get window handles, it would have
Yeah,
come very right away, the answer.
yeah,
I
right.
just molded the question in some other manner. That's how they ask in an interview,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
It's one of
Yeah,
my
actually
favorite
now
questions. Yeah. You are able to recall the
I
answer?
yes. So get window handle is like to handle the all the main web page,
Mm-hmm.
and the small pop-ups which comes on the web page, which is used which is used to handle by get window handle,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I'm not wrong.
Right.
This is the logic behind which we use get window handle.
Mm-hmm. And what about get window handles?
It's handles like uh, it's like it will open the next window, a new tab it will open.
Get window handles?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So basic difference is, let's say if it's a get window handle, so whenever the website opens, you will need to handle that main window. So what you will do, you will use this get window handle and you will get a unique ID of the current window in which you are active window. Okay. The method
Okay.
will return the value of the string type. While for get window handles, as it's a plural, so it will handle all the opened windows, also the child windows by the WebDriver. Okay, and it
Okay.
will, and here you can see the transition from one window to another window. Okay, and the return type is set string again. Okay, so that is the main difference between get window handle and get window handles. Apart from this, switch is also there. Switch is one of the method. As the name suggests, it will perform switch operation within the windows itself. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
right. Now, now let's say if you get a desktop based pop-up or Windows based pop-up within your web application, then how will you automate it? Is it possible to automate that particular pop-ups or that particular window based windows or lines?
Window-based pop-up is not possible in
Mhm.
Java. In automation, but
Okay.
desktop and that uh, yes, window is not possible.
Mhm.
Window pop-up is not possible, but uh, we can handle this through the JavaScript method.
Okay.
Which is uh, we can do it like dot dismiss or pop. Uh,
Accept and dismiss.
alert dot yes, the
Alert.
alert dot accept and alert dot dismiss. We have to use to close the window or we to accept that the pop up.
Right. So
Yes.
those are alert messages. Let's say if pop-up message is coming, do you want to delete this records with yes, no?
Right.
So
Right.
those are alerts. So you can use alert.accept or alert.dismiss. But let's say
Dismiss.
if there is a Windows-based application that is integrated with web-based application, then how will
Okay.
you automate it? So to give you a hint, directly it's not possible with Selenium, but there are workarounds.
Okay.
Mhm.
I think iframe is there, right, to handle this window-based pop-up.
No, iframe is there or frame is there that you can use if the frame has been incorporated or developed by the developer within the website. It's also a part of web application. Okay, now let's say if you have to automate Windows-based application, what you can do, you can use a third-party tool like PowerShell is there or Sikuli is there. So based on Sikuli will capture the image and based on the image, it will perform the click action. So you can integrate it with Selenium and you can run it in the automation, right?
Okay.
So that thing you can use. So generally they'll ask you this question, what are the limitations of Selenium? How will you overcome them? So we cannot
Okay.
modify or change the automation framework which we have started or made for such particular things. So you can use PowerShell or Sikuli for these things, and it will help you to get the expected output as well. You just have to integrate, and those are again open source tools. You can use them, right? Let's say if
Okay.
install shield wizard is to be automated, so that would be desktop based. So you can capture it by PowerShell and you can use it with Selenium. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now let's say you got a defect yesterday at 7 p.m.
Mhm.
when you were going from the office and you have logged that particular defect in the defect management tool. Now you come today in the morning and the developer comes at your desk and they tell you, hey Pragati, can you help me to reproduce this issue? Now that issue is not getting reproduced, right?
Okay.
So how will you convince that developer?
Uh, okay.
Hmm.
So maybe it can happen with the environment.
Hmm.
So in the real time scenario also I have faced like I'm testing in E2 environment testing environment and they are testing in the dev environment. So
Hmm.
maybe they are not getting in the E2 their environment. And the second scenario it's like maybe sometime it happens with the data issue also. The data because of data is not proper, so we are losing the I faced that defect, but they are not facing that issue. And uh, then the reason can be like at that time server was down, this kind of real scenario which I am we face in the projects. So it's like a environment was down and at the time I have executed, so I logged the defect, but the next day the server is up, so they are testing, and in that way, so they are saying that I'm not able to replicate. So they will be like they will be assigning back to us testers, and they will be asking us to close or something to reproduce if you can do it.
Hmm.
And after that, if it's still they are saying it is not reproducible, but it's still testers are able to replicate it, then
Hmm.
we'll make the evidence. We can take the logs when it is we are checking it out, and we can attach in the test management tool. And if still there is a communication gap, it is happening like they are not convincing with our perspective or our words, then we'll be dropping an email with the BA because they will be knowing the functionality.
Hmm.
So we can take the confirmation whether it is a defect or not, and they will tag the developers. And according to the BA's call or PO's, details, whatever they will be providing us, according to that defect status will be there. Then in the test management tool.
Perfect. Logs thing is there. It's a wonderful point that you added to the answer. Second thing is
Right.
about the involvement of BAs or POs if still they are not getting convinced. So that is also
Right.
good. So collaboration is the key over here.
Right.
Now let's
Everything whenever.
yes, please go ahead.
So everything whenever we are focusing on some defects and it's still developers are saying it's not applicable, obviously we have to reach out to the concerned person who has the knowledge of their applications, because maybe it's PO or BA or the directly to the client. If still they are not coming into the front picture, then we have to contact with the clients also. We have to tag them and we have to take their confirmation also, because business is there who is needs all the, I mean, who has all the information of the application which we are developing it, which we are testing it. So
Hmm.
obviously we have to reach out to them to take their calls and to pass those information to the developers.
Perfect. Okay. Now let's say if there is a project that you are doing manual testing and it has got
Mhm.
almost 100 test cases for automation. Okay.
Okay.
Still now, none of the test case has been automated, and we have round about 100 test cases for automation. Now, what will
Okay.
be your approach? What will be your strategy for automation? Which test case will you target first, and how will you complete those 100 test cases?
So do we have estimated time over here?
Right. So, based on your approach or strategy, you can discuss with the team leads and you can provide the estimation time to the client or customer.
Okay. Okay. So according to that, I'll be going for the high priority test cases or scenarios, because if we'll be covering the high priority test cases, it will be covering the client requirements automatically. So
Mhm.
I'll be going further with those. And suppose if we have 2 days or 3 days like that, suppose sometimes management gives us manager gives us the 3 days or 4 days that you have to complete those tasks. So I'll be moving forward with the high priority. So once it is clear, that means I am completing that client requirement. And then if still, then we'll go further like P2 or P3 if still we have the time. Or still, if you don't have the time, we can discuss with the team members and project lead or project manager that this kind of test cases which is in the high priority we have tested, and these are the test cases which can affect the business. First we'll be discussing it out, because we have the limited time period. So if they because obviously every at the end of that, our concern is like not to log any product into the market which will be causing to the, I mean, which will create the defects and which will be affecting the business. So we'll be taking the or will be clearing the discussions among the teams. Whatever the project managers comes with the resolution of answers, we'll go
Mhm.
further with that. If still it's like this is the one scenario. If it is still they can say no, okay, don't log the right now, don't test it, you are getting 1 day or more time, then we'll go for the next scenarios. And the
Mhm.
second scenario is like if everything priority one or priority two we have covered in the 2 days, and the third one is lower priority test cases are left, so maybe those are not affecting to the business, so
Mhm.
that automated test cases can be done, and we can give those test cases to the production. And when it is launching to the production, at the parallel time we can test all the lower priority test cases also, because it won't be affecting the business at the same time. So at the same time, it's like we are managing the test cases priority one, priority two, priority three also. If in this way.
Right, right. Now, let's say there is a scenario in which you have to test that the website would be under maintenance from 12 to 2 p.m. So, what can be the test cases that come to your mind? How will you test this scenario?
Sorry, I couldn't get your question.
Okay, now there is a scenario where you have to test that the website is under maintenance from say 12 to 2 p.m. Okay, so
Okay.
what can be the possible test cases? How will you test this scenario? You can tell on a high level what all things you will be testing.
So just correct me if I'm clear on your question. It's like
Mhm.
I have a limited time from 12 to 2.
Two.
And in this period, I have to, I mean, this is a scenario I have to write test cases on it.
Right, right. So you have to test a particular website which is under maintenance from 12 to 2 p.m. So how will you test that maintenance window?
Okay. First of all, whether it is a website or I mean, whatever application is, first the URL should work at that time.
Mm,
First of all, that should be launched properly. and whether it is, I mean, okay, if I'm clicking on the URL, it is launching the web page, but web page is loading properly or not, that is the first scenario.
Mhm.
So that will go further, first one. And the second point is, if it is at that time, the graphical design should be proper,
Mhm.
that every person should be able to read, every person should able to access that functionality, whatever the application is about. And then later on, it's like, what is the performance on it? Is that the application is being slow, or whether it is crashing at that time, like 12 or 12:1, like this, in this period, because we are checking in this period of time, right? We are checking the management, so we have to see the whether application is being slow or not, whether the same functionality is working in the other browser or not. It's like cross browser will be checking it out, because many
Right.
person will be using the different browsers and different versions. So we'll be checking it out, those one. And if it is like a device, it's like a mobile, then we have to check in the devices also, like iOS and Android,
Mhm.
iPad, like that. And after that, we'll come into the functional. It's like components are working or not, whatever it is visible in the web page. It's like login or log out, and whatever it's all about. And suppose it's a Facebook, I'm launching it out, so whether I'm able to log in into it or not, that account, whether I'm able to create an account or not, because those are the critical feature. If you're not able to log in, that is like affecting the business. So I'll go further with the first critical features, which will be, if it is working fine, then we can go further. In the next step, you will be logging into it. Then you'll be checking whether you are able to post some stories, you are able to post or not. In this way, I'll be going further at that time of period.
Okay. Okay. So since this website is under maintenance from 12 to 2 p.m., what you can do is the moment you log in, you should be able to read that message. And if you are
Right.
logging in from a different OS, or let's say if it's in Japanese OS or Chinese OS, so that message should come in that particular language. And none of the feature or functionality should be working from backend as well. Even if you hit the API and you try to create account, should throw you out. Okay. So that
Okay, I now understood. Maintenance means that shouldn't, it's
means
like server down.
server down, or
Oh, okay, okay.
some, let's say on Saturdays or Sundays, some upgrades are happening. So the moment you open that website, you see, oh, it's not working for 2 hours. No,
Yeah, and I think I got a question in a wrong way. Yeah,
no issues. If you
yeah.
get such confusions, ask the interviewer twice or thrice about the questions, because these are the questions in which you can score points like anything. It's like vanilla based question, straightforward.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, I understood. Yeah, I understood. Now it does strike my mind. Yeah,
Mhm. Okay, then Pragati, it was nice talking to you. And
yeah.
whichever interview questions that we covered today in this mock interview were part of the questions that were asked to the subscribers in their interviews in the
Okay,
Cognizant companies itself. Right?
okay,
Mm,
okay.
yeah. So thank you so much for your time. Okay.
Uh, Thank you for contacting me also, because I have raised you.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So it's helping the people who it's like gets nervous, and I'm also right now. Also, I was watching the videos also,
Mm-hmm.
that which will be helping. But I wanted to know something on the mobile testing question.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going through your videos, but I haven't seen any one of the question which is related to mobile testing.
Interesting. Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
So
so
any profiles, like whichever CVs I got, so those people didn't had much of the relevant experience in mobile testing. So in mobile testing, what they can ask you about the checklist. Let's say if you have to check some functionality or feature in mobile app, then what all things you will check. Okay, what all things you will test and how you will test. So basically, you can tell them you will test them in a normal window screen size, or you can rotate the screen, or you can put a back button and then you can see, or you can close all the applications while filling the form in a mobile, and then you can test if that form got submitted or not. So these kind of scenarios you can add. There is one video that I have uploaded on this channel that is based on mobile testing checklist that you can see. Or they can
okay,
also ask you which are the various compatibility uh, testing scenarios that you will test while you're testing something on mobile. So those questions might come to you. If you're
basically I
Mhm.
sorry, I am interrupting. Basically, I face like what kind of build you get, or what kind of file you receive for the Android and iOS. So
Mhm.
it's like basically from the backend side, the question came into the picture, which when I was giving the interviews.
Mhm.
So that's why I was trying to find those kind of question in the, I mean, in your videos or like in YouTube, but I couldn't find those kind of question which comes in directly I mean, in the picture of interview.
Right. So
So
what
yes,
you can get questions like, how do you get the build in mobile, right? So it's, I think it's a
yes, what
dummy
kind of
APK.
file?
Yeah, it's a
Yes,
dummy APK file that would be given by the developer, which you have to install. Once the build testing is over, you will be deleting or uninstalling it, or they might give the new APK file itself that is capable of clearing the old APK file.
right.
So those things, if it's an iOS, then similar kind of thing, because they are giving an app that is more compatible with, there is a tool Xcode or something like that that has been used for iOS, so that you can
Yes,
cover. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, fine,
Right. Okay.
yeah.